everyone, my name is Rich, and this is Rich Talks Records. I think it's episode number 39. And today we are going to be doing something I think pretty exciting. We're starting another new sub-series, Perfect Compilations. So this is going to be Perfect Compilations Volume 1, and this is something I'm starting that I will periodically dip into. I have 3 or 4 in mind that I want to do, but I want to start off this with this sub-series with a very special compilation, and that is 1979's Beach Blvd, released on Posh Boy Records. This is a record that I don't have a lot of history with, and that's actually part of why I want to talk about it. I think that a lot of times in my videos I have talked about stuff that I have a lot of knowledge of, or I've done a ton of research on. This is going to be a little different because I was born in the Midwest in 1977, so the whole sort of like, you weren't there thing, yeah, I wasn't. So this is just purely an out-of-context thing that I came across, and that I have absolutely fallen in love with. It has become kind of an object of obsession, but I am curious if this reaches a certain part of the viewership, because I'd be very curious to know, to fill in gaps in terms of what I don't know. So, and what I don't know is quite a lot, and I'm admitting that, saying that up front. So hopefully it would be pretty cool, ideally, if gaps get filled in by people who maybe were there. That would be something that would be pretty exciting, and it would be cool if the comment section can turn into sort of a compendium of anecdotes and information about this era, these bands, Posh Boy Records, etc., etc. I think that would be pretty cool. So I'm kind of stating that from the off. So I found out about this compilation. It was mentioned, I want to say offhandedly, in an interview with the great Jack Grisham. I went looking for the interview for the purposes of making this video, and damn it, I couldn't find it. And I thought it was in the Vicious Circle documentary, the thing that on that DVD that came out several years ago. I rewatched the DVD. No, he doesn't mention it there. So I'm thinking maybe it's in one of the Blaring Out with Eric Blair interviews, and I just couldn't figure out which one. So, oh well. But at some point in some interview or somewhere along the line, I'm pretty sure it was Jack Grisham was talking about Posh Boy Records, and he mentioned I believe he calls it the first Beach Blvd compilation. And so, me being me, I thought, wow, Beach Blvd, that's a cool name for a compilation. I love that. So I went and looked it up. There's a version of it on YouTube that is pretty amazing because it has a lot of scratches, and you can hear the person who had done the upload manually move the needle to get to the other side of the scratches. That's the version that I'm going to link to, even though it has scratches, and you'll have to nip about or just be patient. There apparently is a double album reissue version of this that I have listened to that, I'll be honest, I'm not that into. Part of the beauty of this compilation is the concision of it. It's 31 minutes or 32 minutes or whatever it is. And I think that that's actually part of why it's so amazing. It is a compilation. It is an album that basically plays like a 45. It plays like a single. And that's part of the magic of it. And that's part of the summer magic of it. And so I eventually obtained this copy. This is the 2004 Get Back reissue. As you can see, the back cover is completely different. The original had liner notes by Robbie Bingenheimer. Yes, there's a dust sleeve, but I just don't have it in here for right now because I've been listening to this. And this version has liner notes, very brief liner notes from 1989 by Robbie Fields, and then Tony Montana of the Adolescents. So really, really, really amazing compilation. And I guess I will just briefly kind of run through the bands on here. So there are 3 acts on this compilation. There's Rik L Rik, the Simpletones, and then the Crowd. So I was familiar with the Crowd from the Clockwork Orange punk documentary. That was the first time I had ever heard of the Crowd. So I didn't hear of the Crowd until, my 40s, whenever the hell I saw that. The Simpletones I never heard of until this compilation. And Rik L Rik, I want to say that there was a reference to Rik L Rik in Get in the Van. I want to say that that's the first time I ever heard or clocked the name. I could be totally wrong about that, so don't come at me if I'm wrong about that. But where I really had a sense in some world of who the hell Rik L Rik is there's a little short chapter dedicated to him in one of the greatest rock books. I cover this in my rock books videos. And this is Lexicon Devil, of course. And he's this is an oral history, so his voice comes up a few times, but he does get his own specific chapter. So, but again, I just never, there's a lot of bands that, especially like pre-internet or even early internet, I just didn't even know if there was any documentation of those bands. And, it's a busy world. There's a lot going on. I have lots of other music that I check out. So, there have always been gaps in my knowledge, right? And so Rik L Rik, I didn't have any sense of him. I didn't know if he was any different than like Black Randy or any of these other Eddie and the Subtitles. I eventually heard and really, really love Eddie and the Subtitles. But, there were all these names that would just sort of come and go that you didn't really have any real sense of. Finally, years later, my Flipper obsession drove me to get the Negative Trend EP, which I knew that Rik L Rik had something to do with Negative Trend, but, he's not credited, right? So the reason I got this is because this is half of Flipper. So of course I had to have this. Like, pre-Flipper Will Shatter, fuck yeah. I'm like, of course I'm all over that. So for the purposes of, no, it was earlier, no, it was during the pandemic, I want to say, that I first heard the Rik L Rik with Negative Trend. I think I can't really get hard confirmation. I've gone down a few rabbit holes and I just haven't come across the sort of definitive, like, lineup listing, but there are versions which are supposedly the Negative Trend versions with Rik L Rik singing these. And as amazing as this is, and I was happy with this for years, I don't know what the hell year I would have bought this in, but probably later 2000s, middle 2000s, somewhere in there. Do we have a release date on here? It's 06, so somewhere after 06. But I was always very, 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 very happy with that. But the Rik L Rik versions, I want to say, are definitive. His voice, his approach, his phrasing, everything, that's the definitive. Rik L Rik passed away in 2000. I want to say it was brain cancer. There is a pretty banging-ass video of him doing the Germs shutdown that apparently was from like a month or 2 or 3 or 4 months, somewhere in there, just before he died. And you wouldn't have known. He was very, very, very powerful. So that would have been, I think, from 1999. So that's kind of my knowledge of Rik L Rik. For the purposes of this video, I've listened to most of the stuff that he has recorded out there in the world, and I am going to be buying more because I really became a fan. I already loved what was on here, but I definitely became a fan. His early punk band, so one of the first LA punk bands, was his band F Word, and I want to say he was 16, 17 at that point. F Word is absolutely fucking incredible. That band is amazing, and he is amazing, and I'll be linking some of that below. If you've never heard F Word, Christ, they were fucking great. So amazing. The Crowd, again, like I said, I heard of them in the Clockwork Orange punk document, whatever the hell the name of that is. Clockwork Orange County, that's what it is. And, they seemed cool. They seemed interesting. But again, loved the songs on here. There's a video with one of the band members, I don't know the name, I apologize, from not that long ago, like historical places in Huntington Beach. And so he's like walking around with this like vlogger guy, and they're looking at different houses where people lived and stuff, and that's really cool. But the meat of the matter, again, I don't have a copy yet. I will be getting a copy. As part of it because the album is amazing, part of it because the album artwork is absolutely gorgeous, and that is the Crowd's 1981 album, A World Apart. I will link to that below. They really were truly an American Buzzcocks. It's an American slant on the Buzzcocks, but the songwriting level and the instrumental prowess of the band is right up there at Buzzcocks level. Extremely, extremely impressive. Really interesting songs, really well put together songs. The album, it sounds beautiful. So I can't wait to have a copy of that. I will be doing that sooner rather than later. And then there's the Simpletones, who I truly knew fuck all about. And the Simpletones completely, totally blew me away. I just amazing. So I have tried to find out what I can about the Simpletones. What I did find out is that Jerry Koski, the Simpletones had 3 vocalists. Jerry Koski eventually formed the Chiefs, and this is a Chiefs compilation I picked up. I would have gotten at Record Breakers. I didn't even know the Chiefs had recordings. And the only reason I knew of the Chiefs' existence is because along with, I think it was the Mau Maus and maybe the Circle Jerks, are mentioned on a bill with Black Flag and crass commercialism. And I always remembered the name The Chiefs. And so when I came across this one day, and I was dumbfounded that there were even recordings. This band is amazing. These guys were fucking awesome, and I highly, highly recommend this. If this is out there, I'll look for it. If this is out there, I will link to this as well. You're gonna have a lot to listen to from this. But Jesus Christ, this band was fucking amazing, and I can't believe that they aren't more celebrated. Kind of like The Crowd. That World Apart album is like perfect. So, at any rate, and then there's the simple matter of Posh Boy Records, founded by Robbie Fields. Posh Boy, is not as celebrated as some of the other indie labels, such as SST or Discord or something like that, but their catalog stands up there with anybody. They released, so first of all, Rik L Rik and the Simpletones start things off for them. But then it very quickly branches out. There's the Nuns, there's Agent Orange, there's the early Social Distortion records, the first Red Cross EP, which back when it was spelled with a C, amazing. Who else did they do? I'm blanking on the names, but I've already named some big ones. And then, of course, they released my beloved and Rich Talks Records obsession, TSOL, the first TSOL EP. Or single, or whatever the hell it is. Black Flag did the Louie Louie single for Posh Boy. So Posh Boy, that is an amazing label, but one of their early releases was this. So, and the other thing I kind of knew that I was going to love this was I love the high contrast, sort of day glow, weird, hyper realistic, so not realistic album cover art. I was really obsessed with that. That caught my eye immediately. Before I even heard the music, I really had a sense I was going to love this. I loved that it was called Beach Blvd, but then I loved that. I loved how stylized that was. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. And apparently the album cover was designed by Ginger Canzanieri, who was the early evangelizer and I guess early manager of the Go-Go's. So really, really cool. And I guess, we will now just get into talking about the music, right? I basically, just going off of the internet is what I know about most of this record. It was apparently recorded from November 78 to July of 79. And it was done at, most of it, I guess, was done at Media Arts, which is where Black Flag recorded. And one of the reasons why this is such a spectacularly sounding record is because while quote unquote produced by Robbie Fields, which I assume is more of in the Andy Warhol financier form of production, it was worked on by David Tarling and Spot. You should recognize those names. So, and I don't. David Tarling had worked with Black Flag, but Spot. I mean, I've talked about Spot a lot on this channel. So here he is again. So this wonderful, remarkable, life-affirming compilation begins with the Simpletones, Susie Q, or I just think of it as I Love You, Susie Q. So the Simpletones, I truly knew nothing of. So I pulled this up one day. I was cleaning in the basement or something. I forget what I was doing, and I just thought, well, I need some music to listen to. So I pulled this up, and my wife came in a couple songs in, and she's like asking how it was going as far as the cleaning goes, or moving stuff around, whatever the hell I was doing. And while I was doing that mindlessly because I had become completely transfixed by this. And it might have been a situation where I don't even know if I had gotten past the first two songs for a half hour. It might have been one of those which happens to me. And all I could respond when she said, "How's it going?" is I said, "I am obsessed with this fucking banging, amazing, perfect compilation. That's how it's going." And she's like, "Yeah, right. How is the cleaning going?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah. So anyway, that was my first actual encounter of listening to this, and the Simpletones completely blew me away. So there is a complete discography released by the Simpletones that, again, is another thing I'm going to be purchasing soon. I have now listened to it many times. It's hard to find a lot of information about them. They had 3 lead singers. The one, of course, formed the Chiefs. The other formed a band called the Clan, who is another one of those bands like the Screws or the Mau Maus or the Slashers that I'm like only vaguely familiar with, so I really sort of don't even want to comment upon because I just don't have... I just haven't listened enough where I've committed it to memory in any sort of capacity. But at any rate, I Love You, Susie Q. First of all, Spot, the production's beautiful. This is a beautiful sounding record. It's just like that early Black Flag, like no screwing around, like perfect guitar sounds, drum sounds, bass sounds, like right in your face. The band, perfect, like right in the room. It's everything you want out of a recording. It's propulsive, it's beautiful, it's true rock and roll. It is rock and roll in the truest sense. And there is an aspect of rock and roll that I think has really just gotten lost and steamrolled over with time. That sort of innocent guilelessness aspect of rock and roll, and the fact that it was, dance music, that it's meant to be played and be joyous and celebratory and wonderful and just throw all your energy into life. And that's one of the things I love about 50s rock and roll, and that's the original rock and roll. It's one of the things that resonates so much with me about it. Even as I age, I love the transfusions of energy and enthusiasm. It means a whole hell of a lot to me, especially as I get older, And as you work through things in life and shed and learn to think through some of your worst impulses, the infusions of energy and enthusiasm only make life that much more fucking awesome and worth living. So I look at this as a psychological health tool. So I Love You, Susie Q. Like one of the things I love is the specificity of the lyrics. I you know, I love the I'll be your lumberjack or the shit off your back. They reference going to the Starwood. Like it's such a snapshot of a place and time, and yet just like the '50s stuff, just like those like wonderful like Chubby Checker records, like there is this weird timelessness to it. You know, like Danny and the Juniors stuff. Like this is it's that excited by life, you know, and that's what's so glorious about it. So it's and they have three singers not for nothing. Like I am a sucker for vocal harmonies. I am a sucker for people singing together. There's something that really always moves me about that, and they just sound fucking great together. So you have this beautiful, tight, propulsive, like move on a dime band with actually really well thought out arrangements, and there's actually a lot of beautiful little tempo shifts, but it's all happening lightning fast. It's all coming at you. This is not the songs themselves may be simple, but this is not sloppy or slipshod. These guys really know what they're doing, and the singing is absolutely beautiful. So great specificity of lyrics, funny, smart. There's, you know, they reference Quaaludes. There's like a lot going on under the innocent surface, you know. There's a lot of naughtiness for people so young, and it's just, but you can channel into that, or you can just channel into the joy and innocence and beauty of it. It is a glorious song. I was captured immediately by it. Like, incredible song. But then we get to the second song, the second Simpletones song. And that is the first of their two true masterpieces on this thing. And that is I Have a Date. I Have a Date, I think, is one of the most glorious songs ever written. It has become one of my favorite songs of all time. It is right up there with If You Know the Birds, You Movin', or the MC5's Looking at You. It is one of the greatest portraits of infatuation ever written. It is everything I love about rock and roll. It is this perfect center point between more aggressive or darker punk rock and like Jonathan Richman. Like it combines elements of 50s stuff. It points the way to what Beat Happening would be doing a few years later. It is one of my favorite songs now of all time. I Have a Date is all of the coiled excitement and energy and joy of meeting the girl, like looking at the girl, meeting the girl, getting the girl, and then the girl like agrees to go on a date with you, and it's a recounting of the first date, and it's like the most, again, excitable in the best possible way, and the oral blushing of when he sings, I brought her home and she gave me a kiss, and the bashfulness of that is amazing. That is amazing, because I dare say that is what, for all of us wounded romantics out there, that's what's underneath all of the snarl and all of the bravado and the piss take and the everything else. Like, just that, like the girl likes you as much as you like the girl. And, you know, I'm very happily married, and I still feel this way about my wife, and I still have I have a date feeling, and yeah, so it means, even though it is like the most inherently teenage song ever written, it somehow transcends its teenageness. These are like the most advanced teenagers ever, because they're capturing it in such a timeless way, you know? And it's just a beautifully, perfectly constructed song, but with the head rush of the intensity of their playing. And again, somewhere between Danny and the Juniors and early doo-wop and She Loves You and Jonathan Richman, somewhere in there is this, and it is, and the MC5's Looking at You. It is that absolutely perfect depiction of the beginnings of love or affection, or certainly infatuation. Amazing. It is a masterpiece. Do yourself a favor and listen to I Have a Date by the Simpletones if you've never heard it. Holy fucking Christ, is it awesome. It gets me every time. It is one of those songs, and I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to use a phrase I use a lot, compulsively listenable. I don't think I've ever listened to the song just once. I think I have rewound it or moved the needle back, or like every single or hit the back button every single time. Every single time. It's that good. And yeah, I absolutely love it. Third song by the Simpletones is Tiger Beat Twist. And Tiger Beat Twist is, again, just a glorious, hyper danceable, it's what rock and roll was supposed to be. It's excited kids jumping around and dancing. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. And it's a punk rock or a rock and roll dance song. And there used to be lots of those. So, there's the inherent sexuality of rock and roll. It is a slang term for fucking, of course. So there's always that, but I think there was something in early rock and roll of transmuting all of that energy into the social exchange of dancing that I think fueled a lot of the power of early rock and roll. And Tiger Beat Twist is another glorious, glorious piece of that. And again, the specificity of the details. Among other sort of punk rock things in the song, they like the Bee Gees, which I love that. I think that's absolutely hysterical. So it's a twist. It's a rock and roll twist song. It's so perfect. And that's what, I don't know, as much as there's the rebelliousness and the darkness, there's something about the kids being kids aspect of it that I absolutely love. And I wish that when I was a teenager, I had just allowed myself to be a teenager more often, as opposed to constantly trying to project myself 10 years into the future. So when something like this just captures that, and just the way the band lays back during the verses, like every single aspect of it is absolutely perfect. So that's Tiger Beat Twist. Now, somewhere in one of the things that I saw, there was an early Posh Boy ad that had the first Simpletones single and the first Rik L Rik single. And it was the agony and the ecstasy of Posh Boy. And that is right next to each other, because then we take a hard left into Rik L Rik's Black and Red, which was, again, some of these songs were re-recorded by Negative Trend in the Will Shatter, Steve DePace iteration of the band. And I should give credit to the singer, Michael Waters, or Mickle, but I think that M-I-K-A-L is actually pronounced Michael, I think. So, but this is the OG, so I guess this is technically a Negative Trend recording. I'm not really sure how all that shakes out. It's credited Rik L Rik here. Amazing song. It is, and I forget the guy's name. Is it Craig Gray is the songwriter. And first of all, his guitar playing is amazing. Spot's guitar sounds, Spot's gonna do it. So amazing, lurching, creepy playing, perfect, like slow tempo, and it would have been amazing in some of the nighttime scenes in Jackie Brown or something. Like this should be in a Tarantino movie. It's a glorious, glorious song, and really cool, idiosyncratic lyrics, and a dark chorus. I want to live like a suicide. Dark, but also, realistic, and that's part of what I love about the song and about that. It's interesting that Will Shatter winds up joining Negative Trend and then goes on to Flipper, because I was surprised that he didn't have any hand in writing this, because there is that aspect of Flipper where there's somehow something life-affirming in acknowledging the darkest of thoughts, right? But Rik L Rik sings the hell out of it. It really, like, his phrasing, his personality is absolutely incredible. Like, he has the control and the nuance of think third Velvet Underground album, think Iggy, think Jim Morrison. He was obviously very, very influenced by Darby Crash. So all of that's there, and all of that is in his voice, and it's all very, very, very real and powerful. So amazing, amazing song. And then a far more propulsive, and this again is another, I guess, Negative Trend song. Again, I don't know where the dividing line is there, but it's again Negative Trend without. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know where all of that shakes out, but Meat House, or I Just Got Back from the Meat House, awesome, great, propulsive punk rock song. And as much as they held the tempo back on the previous song, this one they really go for it, and it's just a fucking awesome song, and I love it. And then we get The Crowd, and The Crowd really splits the difference between the Simpletones and the brightness of the Simpletones and the darkness of Rik L Rik. So their first song on here, so they have 3 to close out the album side. The first is Susie is a Surf Rocker. Beautiful, wonderful, like really, really cool song. Obviously like a riff on the Ramones, like Sheena is a Punk Rocker songs. But really, really cool, fun, beautiful, glorious rock and roll song. But then things really kick up a notch with Living in Madrid. Living in Madrid is an outstanding 10 out of 10 rock and roll song. And part of what's so great about it is it's a very wistful song about the one that got away. But it is, the old adage about rock and roll being fun songs about sad stuff, right? It is played at absolute hyper speed. The amazing guitars and amazing drumming, like fleet foot drumming that like lightning snare fills, incredible. And it just goes by, there's no fat on it. So it's almost, there is some of the kind of brutal minimalism of Wire, or even like the Urinals, maybe not as severe as the Urinals, but there is that, like, they're not going to waste a second of your time, and they are going to give you the full force of the expression immediately. Beautiful. So it's a beautiful piece of songwriting, beautifully imaginative to marry the wistfulness to that level of intensity, and then it's in its own way avant-garde, because there's no wasting of time, and there's no needless repeating of anything. Beautiful, perfect. And then the album side closes out with the Crowd's third song, the wonderful thrasher "Tricks Are for Kids," which appears to be a riff on the old cereal ad. I know that there was a strain of this in LA punk. Tom Tricali talked about a band that he saw who appeared to be like 15-year-old kids who had a song called I Haven't Watched TV Since They Canceled James at 16. Like, so there is that sort of like hyper pop culture kind of silly, like, goofiness or kiddishness. If there's a deeper level to Tricks Are for Kids, I'm not really sure. But why not a fucking song about that? We've all seen that stuff. We've all watched Gilligan's Island, or as people of a certain age, we all watched all that stuff. I watched Three's Company every goddamn day. I've seen probably, you know what I mean? Whether I had wanted to or not, I did in this case. So why not write a song about Tricks Are for Kids? Also, some truly, truly, brutally fucking beautiful guitar playing, some almost Keith Levine-esque shredded glass guitar playing, and it hurtles by in the blink of an eye. Beautiful song, amazing, great way to end the album side. What a ride so far. And then we flip the album over. Side 2. So one thing I did want to say about Tricks Are for Kids, there's an element too of the Dickies in there, and that's a good thing, because the Dickies are fucking awesome. So again, that strain, I think, that's actually one of the things I love about it. Again, it's fun, it's vibrant. The Crowd's album artwork was Dayglow. Like, it's surf, it's up, it's energetic, it's full of life. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Anyway, we continue with the Crowd on at the beginning of side 2. We have Modern Machine, which is I mentioned the Buzzcocks earlier. Very kind of a riff on the Buzzcocks' very own Fast Cars, except in true rock and roll style. From what I can make out of the lyrics, it's the age-old but beautifully, wonderfully joyously rendered, woman as car or car as woman, however you want. But you know, conflating the two greatest pieces of rock and roll subject matter, two of the greatest pieces of rock and roll subject matter. Why not, right? Again, why the hell not? But it's a wonderful song, and I love it as kind of a weird Inside Out version of the Buzzcocks Fast Cars. So and then things end up. And the other great thing about Modern Machine is the bass playing does one of my favorite things, which is all counterpoint melody stuff and hurdles the thing along beautifully. So it's a magnificent example of bass playing in punk rock, and then New Crew is is a wonderful example of frenzied, awesome guitar playing, and so it's just a great, cool, fun punk song. Like, it makes you want to hear more of them. And again, that's why I'm going to link that first album, because that first album really is a fantastic lightning in a bottle sort of moment. So then we go back to Rik L Rik. Now, my version has no songwriting credits, which is why with some of the Rik L Rik stuff I've been referring to at least this, because this at least has nominal songwriting credits. The insert of the CD is, that's it. That's all you get. So there's not a ton of information there. And then I couldn't really find kind of like full credits online. I did the best I could. So again, whatever I'm missing, please let me know. This isn't a situation where I'm trying to be imperious and some sort of know-it-all. As I said from the start, I don't. So I would like to give credit where credit's due with these songs with Rik L Rik, but because he is amazing, and he's clearly, he was set up clearly as the center of the label, him and the Simpletones, right? And so you want to give credit where credit's due, at least I do. So and all of his songs on here, so of his 5 songs on this, basically, I mean, all of these songs are perfect. These are all kind of like ready-made, like rock and roll anthems. I mean, they're all perfectly rendered songs, and that's part of what's so compelling about all of them. And again, coming off of F Word, finding out and finally like actually listening to F Word was kind of like discovering Sex Sick when I did my Black Flag videos. It was a similar thing of, how have I not known about this? Because F Word has a chapter, and the Germs book is sort of centered around F Word, and I had just never followed up, and that's my problem, right? So, he already had a really, really cool body of work coming into this. So just to stress, like, these songs are basically like perfect songs. So I Got Power is probably the most melodic of all of them, but it has a lot of the same sort of punk rock propulsion of Meat House. And again, like, the way he sings it is very Iggy on the first Stooges album. Like, he just has magnetic rock and roll charisma, and I Got Power is just another outstanding song. What else can you say? And then we get into Mercenaries, which is really interesting, and for 1978, 1979, really forward-thinking piece of social commentary, and really foreshadows a lot of stuff that would later happen in the 80s. I mean, this is right around the birth of the Dead Kennedys, and there was Crass and the Clash in England, obviously, but to hear something this overtly political, and this specifically political, turned into a rock and roll song, again, why not? Excellent subject matter, for and great fodder for material, and I think it's a beautiful and prescient piece of social commentary, and it's absolutely magnificent. Another amazing song, and I love like weird handmade production. I love when there's the levels aren't all perfect and everything. To me that's That's what makes it human. That's what makes it good. I don't want everything perfect. And Mercenaries has, in some people's minds, it could be a wonky production or a wonky mix. I like that. That's what I like about a lot of British Invasion stuff. And it has that energy and that feel. And it's magnificent. And then we get to his final song, Atomic Lawns. Or is it Lawn or Lawns? Atomic Lawn. And again, so it's probably, of his songs here, it's probably the least ready-made masterpiece or ready-made anthem, but it is still an amazing song, an amazing capture of the time, as much as I Love You, Susie Q, or Tiger Beat Twist is. And then we wrap things up. So as much as there's the crowd and as much as there's Rik L Rik, then we go back to the Simpletones. So Don't Bother Me is probably, I love Don't Bother Me. I love the vocal harmonies. I love the arrangement. I love the sentiment of the song. We all know people like that. We all know, I think I know you, like, you know me, and I think I know you. Like, we all know people like that. I never talk to you, I never bother you, don't bother me. And we all have people in our life that we truly wish that we could just keep at arm's length, and how much easier life would be if we could just do that. So I love it. It again hints at sort of the darker subtext to it, but it's all in good fun, and it's a wonderful rock and roll song and a wonderful way to expend that sort of energy. But then things wrap up, and so as great as the crowd and as great as Rik L Rik are, and they are great, this is a perfect compilation after all. Things wrap up with the Simpletones in the only way that they can, and that is the song California. So California is the second of the Simpletones masterpieces on this perfect compilation. It is one of the most glorious songs I have ever heard. I absolutely, utterly adore this song. It is a perfect mid-tempo. It's very circular songwriting. It's basically just sort of two parts that repeat about 3 times roughly each, and it is completely perfect. The lead vocals are by Kendall Benke, and yeah, is it a 3-line verse that just repeats, and it neatly summarizes everything in the cultural imagination of what life in Southern California, the most idealized possible version of life in Southern California is like. And it just repeats with different vocal inflections and different vocal intonations every single time, including kind of like a 50s-esque spoken recitation of the lyrics midway through. It is one of the most, insanely beguiling and charming songs I have ever heard in my entire life. This is another one. You play this song over and over and over again. The version, again, that is up on YouTube, this skips. It just skips. So the way that the video ends, the last song, California, just skips at the end of the song. So you don't actually hear like the last 10 seconds of the song or whatever it is. So I will put that else. I will link that as just a standalone so you can just hear just that song. There is apparently a version of this now on Spotify. I'm not on Spotify, so I cannot confirm or deny whether it is or is not. But California is absolutely glorious as a melodic and rhythmic, and however minimalist the lyrics are, it is a perfect construction all the way across. It's like Tab Hunter's Young Love. I know he didn't do the original of it, but it's one of those like truly just perfect constructions. They could have spent a year writing this song and refining it and not improved upon it. It is as good as it gets. And those harmonies and the back and forth between the lead vocal and the harmonies, it just gets me every single time. And then the way the band just speeds up just enough that during that last go around to the chorus, the way they really kick in, like one last time to raise your spirits. I think so highly of this song, and I think so highly of the mood that it evokes and captures and sustains. I am going to make the kind of bold and sweeping claim that we like to make here at Rich Talks Records. And I am going to fucking say that I take California and I put it up against anything from any Beach Boys record through, what is it? Oh my God, now I'm blanking on the name of the damn album. What's the one before Summer Days and Summer Nights? Anyway, so let's say Summer Days and Summer Nights, or Beach Boys. Jesus, what the hell is the one with the two? Oh my God, what the hell's wrong with me? Anyway, I put this up again. Fuck it, it's gonna bother. I have to look this shit up. This is gonna drive me crazy. Hold on, you're just gonna have to bear with me. Beach Boys, like, what is wrong with me that I can't think of the name of the damn album? And some of you are probably screaming the name right now. And yes, I am leaving this in the bloody video. I'm not gonna take it out of the video. Damn it. What is it called? Beach Boys Today. What the fuck is wrong with me? I put California there. I put California up against anything through Beach Boys Today. That's right. And I don't look back. That's right. I'm saying it. Yeah. So, Surfer Girl, Surfing USA, any of those, the Surf and Safari, any of those, Shutdown Volume 2, I put California up against any of them. That's right. I said it. It's right there. I'm not saying, oh, it's better. I'm just saying it's right there. It's at that level. It's that level of perfection. So, and for somebody who has not spent a ton of time in their life in California and has never been to Southern California. No, I was in Death Valley when I was like 3 years old, but that doesn't really count, does it? The only time I've ever really been in California is I've been in San Francisco a few times. So that's it. So it's an incredible evocation and portrait of a place. And especially on this rainy Midwestern day, it's either rain or it's cicadas. And that's been the weather options lately. Rain or these awful red-eyed demon bugs flying at you. And they're like junior mints on the inside. They're just filled with white goo. So if you kill one of them, and they're pretty big, you've just got like fucking, bug jizz everywhere. It's fucking disgusting. So that's been the weather. Like, going outside right now is not the best. So, you just want to think about a place where, the girls are nice and the cars go fast and the surf is the most. And the surf is really wild. And you wish you could stay your whole life. Your whole life? Oh, it's fucking beautiful. Somebody should cover that song. There should be a great cover of California, huh? I don't know. Maybe not, because the Simpletones already did it perfectly. So there's a complete Simpletones discography record out there. Like I said, I am going to be buying that at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I've been buying lots of records here and there. So, one needs to be financially responsible in this world, in today's world of opinion. But yeah, and so the like I said, the sort of, oh, and I guess, like I said, there was a Record Store Day repress of this apparently at some point, so that's cool that that's out there. And like I said, there is a double album version that I think it's better to just have this. I think it's better to listen to the crowd on their own. I think it's better to have the full Simpletones discography, and then expanding Rik L Rik's stuff is great. But again, there are compilations of him out there. And I think that, I feel like he's one of those sort of, in the grander scheme of things, kind of unknown legends of rock and roll at this point, because he was clearly the real deal and clearly really, really powerful with a great voice. And there was a 1991 reunion of the Simpletones and Rik L Rik and the crowd, where they perform this and some other songs as well. So that's an interesting concert. It's filmed from like the back of the pit. So you see more of the people in the pit than you do of the performers. But 1991 Rik L Rik fucking tears it up. Absolutely incredible. So that's Beach Boulevard. Hopefully I've encouraged you to check this out. I love this. Like I said, I love everything about it. It's just such a beautiful thing. A beautiful sounding record. A life-affirming record. A joyous record. And, I Have a Date and California are two of the best damn songs. A love song to a girl and a love song to a state. but also love songs to states of being. Wow, yeah, deep man, huh? So anyway, that about wraps things up here. We will be back soon enough with another exciting episode. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. And like I said, please, I welcome fill in the gaps of my knowledge. Like, let the people know if you come across this video, please. I really encourage that. So at any rate, we do have some new subscribers. Really, really cool. So we've gone up a couple. So that's that's always a lovely thing. So thank you and welcome. And, please like and comment and subscribe and share and all of those glorious YouTube things. And otherwise, like I said, I will see you next time soon enough with another exciting video. So until then, bye. Whoa, what was that? That was bye.
Just finished watching Rich Talks Records. Now the